Greetings, opera lovers. It's Rona from Pittsburgh giving her first impressions of Siegfried, which was broadcast on TV last night, which I DVR'd and watched in 3 separate parts and just finished. It was my very first time seeing the opera, although I know quite a bit of the music. Some of it I love. The foraging song, the duet at the end of the opera, the forest bird scene, and of course during the opera you hear so many of the leitmotifs from The Ring and some music that you hear that you know from other places as well. Well, this was a really long opera and I have a lot to say, so I'm just going to try to say it fast. Overall, fabulous. Let's get the production out of the way. So much negative stuff has been written about it, and I have nothing negative to say about this production of Siegfried. The projections on the planks were magnificent. In the last act, after Siegfried and Wotan meet, and Siegfried has to go and wake up Brunhilde from the rock surrounded by fire, the planks, they rolled around and then a beautiful projection of fire was placed on them. It was gorgeous. And in other scenes, the projections on the planks were fabulous. The first act was very interesting, how they sort of had different levels of the planks to show you where Mime and Siegfried have all their confrontations about what a bad father Mime is and what a naive person Siegfried is and where he gets to forge the sword. But I go to the opera to hear great singing, and you know what? There was lots of good singing here. Starting off with the very smallest role of the forest bird, that was done by a woman whose last name is Erdmann, and she has a very good voice, and she did a fine job. But I just think that there are so many great singers who could do this bird part, who have more of the voice that I expect. I was surprised that she was chosen. One of my favorite forest birds was Joan Sutherland, who I heard in recordings many, many times. I heard the same recording many times. I loved it. She was just so glorious. And then another small role, Erda, was done by Patricia Barden, a singer I really enjoy and admire. I did not care for her in the low notes too much, but it must be a very difficult role. However, she was very convincing as Erda in her duet with Wotan, or the Wanderer, as he is called in this opera. Another small role was taken by Eric Owens, who did Alberich. Ooh, he's so scary as Alberich. I think he just has it down. I mean, you believe he's Alberich. What can I say? And he got a great costume and great wig to go along with his evil spirit. Also, another smaller role, Fafner the Dragon, was done by Hans-Peter Koenig, a terrific basso. But I don't understand why it seemed to me that he was mic'd. And I didn't understand his costume as the dragon. Why didn't they either have, like, a couple of men come out and be a dragon, or have him dressed up as a dragon? Instead, they had some kind of, I don't know, big puppet be a dragon. It wasn't terrible. I just didn't care for it. But on the other hand, the bird was fabulous. I loved the bird. After that, I think we get into all the principal roles. And the one who has the smallest amount of singing is Brunhilde, played by Deborah Voigt. Deborah Voigt is a wonderful singer, and she's had a long and distinguished career in opera, especially at the Met, and is very beloved. However, her voice is just not right anymore for this role, although she did a very good job. It was just a few places here and there that marred the performance, but overall, I have to say I admire her very much for how she did it, how she did the role. But isn't it odd that when she was put to sleep, she had one dress on, and when she woke up, she had a different one? Go figure. Then we get to the 3 big roles of the opera. The first, I would say, is Mime. sung by a German tenor whose name I have now forgotten. I'll try to write it in the information section. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. It's like a character tenor voice, although I bet if he were given a different role, he could do a lyric, be more of a lyric tenor, and maybe even take on Siegfried himself. Who knows? And then one of my vocal idols, Bryn Terfel, or Terfel. What can you say? He's just amazing. Uh, Not only is his German so luscious and rich, but his portrayal was fabulous. I was a little critical of him when he did Das Rheingold. I thought he was detached from the character. Then he did much better in Die Walküre as Wotan, and here he's the Wanderer. And I thought his portrayal was magnificent. Just a little note to the costumers. I didn't like the wig, and I didn't like the hat. It was like a cowboy hat. Who cares? And then, of course, we get to the main event, Siegfried. All I can say is bravissimo. This guy, J. Hunter Morris, has a beautiful, light, Helden tenor voice. It's the sound that I want to hear from a Helden tenor, and especially from someone who's playing a young person. Siegfried is supposed to be young and naive, and full of enthusiasm and fearless, and that's what his voice sounded like. He completely portrayed the character through his voice. And he also marshaled his energies so that at the end of the opera, he had enough to get through it. He was just terrific. I just loved him. And then, of course, there is the Met Orchestra and the conductor, Fabio Luisi. When the orchestra had a chance to play by itself in several sections, especially the section in between a Siegfried's duet with the Wanderer and then where he goes to wake up Brunhilde, there's a very long orchestral interlude. The playing was gorgeous. The scenery was gorgeous. It was a totally breathtaking experience, and of course, kudos to the conductor. So all in all, I loved it, and I loved the production. To all those people who didn't see it because they read that the production was this or that, poo-poo on those reviewers. This was something wonderful. I mean, it made my heart soar. And you know, the real hero of these operas? Wagner. What a great libretto and great music. After all these years, it holds up wonderfully. So tonight, I DVR Götterdämmerung and will listen to it between Saturday and Sunday. Good night to you all.